One of PC2. Joining me tonight in the comms box is the voice himself, Mr. Jonathan Fernandez.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Project Cars 2. Got round 1 of a new season. And it's a favorite circuit. We're here recently for the F1.
Ah, yes, just this past weekend.
So still very fresh in our minds.
And of course, what a tragic weekend as well it was.
Definitely not a nice weekend for motorsport. Just it reminds everybody that there is still a danger in the sport. We've gotten far too used to, just big accidents and guys getting out of the car, and that was quite the shock.
It happened so fast. But like you say, just a reminder to everybody about the hazards of the sport we all love. Of course, we just watching a couple of guys going on track here. Of course, there's half-hour practice session. Oh, here we go. Mr. Gaff picked himself with a yellow car. I never knew peaks like yellow. I always thought pinks are associated with, peak and pink go together.
No, he's in the number 7 Renault today. So as I understand this, we've got 30 minutes of qualifying, where obviously that will decide the order in which these drivers start their race.
Correct.
Then we will go on to a 1.5 hour endurance race around Spa. If some previous calculations are correct, and you have a relatively clean race, which is quite difficult on this game, then predictions mid 30 laps, 35, 34. But yeah, very different to what I'm used to commentating on F1. In F1 we talk about 2 seconds like it's a big gap, and here it really doesn't mean much.
No, because obviously this cars is something completely different compared to F1 cars.
And obviously the time you spend in the pits is very different.
There we go. And TNB Wazi coming around the corner. Of course, this is really to start a hot lap. Oh, nice green car. And again, like I said earlier, the peak in the yellow cars. Of course, here's Mr. Wazi himself. This guy loved pink. Of course, back in the day, Force India. Nowadays, of course, the Racing Point. And yeah, he is in a green car. What a change of scenery.
Definitely something different, something to get used to. At the start of a Rouge up Radion.
A Rouge and Radion, of course, and this is where it all happened over this past weekend. Oh, also running a bit wide.
Right there. Over there. Right on that spot. Now, there has been calls for that runoff area to be extended, but obviously it can't be extended. It would be a very difficult task, because right behind that tyre wall, you basically have a sheer fall. It's a cliff.
There's like a 90% drop, and there's actually a river flowing there. And we're not talking just about a little bit of water, we're talking about a proper river.
That's right.
And the last thing you want is someone going off there, and of course end up in the water. It also, recovery becomes more and more difficult. Of course, the emphasis is always on safety. And who would ever forget Monza back in the day with the old viaducts on the side? How many crashes did you see people going over? Just too much speed in the corners, and they just simply went off and fell off. Well, unfortunately, it's one of the things. But still, if you look at what the track looked like many years ago, I mean, early 90s, even before that, That whole sequence of corners, the downhill, our route, Radelin. It was actually almost more curvy almost. It's almost like they did straighten it more in recent years.
My memory might be incorrect, but I'm sure at some point the pit exit at Spa was a lot more crazy. Wasn't it up the hill?
Yeah,
You only got over the line as you were going up the hill to. It was insane. It was a terrible place. But it's one of the classic circuits. It's one of the circuits that when I started watching F1 in the 90s, giving my age away a bit, but when I started watching F1 in the 90s, it's one of the circuits that if I look at it today, I can still see the track they raced at in the 90s. And quite frankly, I love those tracks. It would be this track, it would be Monza, it would be Sao Paulo, Catalunya. They really haven't changed much.
Sorry for
Obviously, Catalunya changed with its little section at the end there, but preferred the old layout.
Sorry, I'm sorry for trying to interrupt you there. It's just while Gav Peak V goes through the bus stop chicane, of course, with a bus stop, that's actually one section that's been hugely altered. If you remember the all track, your whole entrance to the bus stop was completely different. Now you obviously go to the left, you take a chicane to the right, left onto the home straight. Back in the day, it wasn't like this. It was more going the opposite direction onto the home straight. So this track has been altered a lot throughout the last couple of years. So of course,
and then obviously the original Spa-Francorchamps was it's quite a different circuit, but obviously F1 in its modern state could not race there because they'd basically be at full throttle between 85 and 90% of the lap. So it's just more of really what you see in Sector 2. It's just a lot more of that, and you race in between houses. It's quite crazy.
No, yeah, we will never forget that. Back many years ago when racetrack didn't even have tire walls and stuff, and it was all open. A couple of hay bales. So it's ridiculous to think
definitely
back.
very different times. I mean, obviously every time a death does happen in motorsport, certain rules change, things are done to try and make sure that even that 1 in 1,000th, 1 in a millionth chance does not happen again. I mean, you can forget, I think it was 2011. In 2011 in Australia, Marshall died.
Jeez.
And it was basically a tyre that flew through a fence that was basically 1 centimeter bigger than the tyre. And obviously that was changed immediately. Even though it was a freak accident, it was what's the chances of that happening? And that's been corrected, obviously. My dad tells me of times in the 70s when losing 3 to 4 drivers in a season was quite common.
Okay, there we go. Gavpik improving his time a bit.
120.7 immediately into the pits.
Of course.
Got to get used to that. Let's have a look who's running around in second at the moment.
Muna at the moment there. 1 second
Muna running around in second.
Gavpik actually made that gap bigger with 1.2 seconds with improving on that last lap. Of course, Vermuna here with his nicely multicolored Porsche.
Seeing here on the race feed, Staffy seeming to have a few issues. He's got a lot of invalidated laps.
Oh boy, Staffy. Car seems to be a handful.
Here we go. Where is Staffy? There he is. He's in 11th place at the moment with a time of 2 minutes 28. That's 8 seconds, but don't read too much into it.
No, but
it's
remember,
not.
Still 20 minutes left. It's still now to just get the hang of a car and of course the feel for the track. Timby was he getting out of his way there?
Nice looking livery.
Of course, I see we've got there for Ronald there in 6th place currently. Devon in 7th.
Nizmax yet to settle up.
Yes, nobody.
He's
Looks
actually
like
going up Eau Rouge as we speak.
Yeah, he's definitely out there. He's been sitting a while, giving everybody a chance. Now he's coming out. Of course, he's going to push it.
See, one of the organisers of this league. So I'm sure he's been practicing. Going to be one of our front runners, I'm pretty sure.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be an epic battle with him and Gavpik at the front. And I expect TNB Wazi as well. And do not discard Vermuna. So I guess it will be, I know it's early predictions, anything can happen. But looking at early, of course, going into this after practice and all the talks and whatever, there's at least 4 guys so that can go for this. It's going to be interesting in the the mid battle. Of course, for Judge there, Devon there, Ronald there. So there's a good couple of guys in there, so it's going to be interesting. Whoa.
Well, don't know what that is. Yeah.
Washing the car. Yo.
I don't know what that was. Oh, there we go.
Chen in his green Lambo with his lights on.
This is a driver I'm not familiar with, so I do apologize.
I do the same, yeah. Also have to apologize. The first time I see, but you know what? Of course, it's the first time for everything.
And I'm sure by the end of the night we'll have a better understanding of what he's all about at the moment. Just 3.6 seconds off the pole position time, so initially showing pace.
Yeah, no, that's not huge, of course.
Nothing wrong with that in endurance racing.
No,
Judge currently 5th. Seems to enjoy this game a lot more than the F1. I've seen him show some pace in this.
But yet, it's weird. Funny enough, we play car games, you play the simulators, whatever, you get different games. Same platform.
Yeah.
F1,
yeah.
Project Cars, and of course, Gran Turismo Sport. You get someone who actually excel in one, someone who actually is completely nowhere in one, and yet in the next one, he's the one excelling. So you can't really say.
Like the other day when we all jumped into Formula 2 cars.
But it was a neutral playfield then.
And yeah, I don't know where the purples were coming from or where they were coming from, but yeah. So maybe I've just been driving maybe I'm so fast in an F2 car because I've been driving an F1 car wrong this whole time.
You're more set up for F2, and you know what? That can maybe, if you look at the different types of games, because I mean, I'm like okay with F1, and yet I can be front runner on GT Sport, and here I get to Project Cars. I always mid to back. Yeah, so it depends, and of course it's just one of the things. Of course, some guys adapt quick, and then of course you have someone like a Gavpik, someone like a Nismax, and someone like a Muna. Doesn't matter if it's Project Cars or F1, or even GT Sport. If you look at Muna and Nismax, they'll just get on board and boom, off we go, and the pace is there.
So we ride with Nismax at the moment. Let's have a look what we can do with these camera angles. There we go.
That's onboard shot.
That's something different. Right on board.
It's more like he's just still cruising around, warming up, not really pushing it. At least not. That's how it sounds.
Doesn't seem that way. See, there are your timings. Gavin's still fastest with a 120.7.
Judge on 6, so Nismax now lying in 7th for now. But again, I don't think he's up to full speed yet. Very low gear shifts as well. Nice camera shot here,
Mr. Not giving it everything.
Definitely not.
Nice,
yes,
nice shot the bumper shot.
And listen to that gear ratios as well. No,
let's have a look if he gives it something up Eau Rouge.
See, there's a nice shot of what you said earlier about this pit exit running uphill there. You can see it. And that's
There we
actually
go,
what,
there it is.
and that's actually
There
where
it
it
is.
faced out in the runoff. No, but even if you
That's
enter
insane.
now, that was a nice shot. As you enter a route, you could actually see that pit exit going all the way down, and only
look.
feeding out there at Radland. I mean, wow, long pit exit.
Here's Wazzy going around the turn 1. So
There
we
go.
can see that
Look,
same
basically,
shot again.
Of course, that's the modern exit. There you see there was part of the old pit. And yeah,
there's the
down
exit.
there you can see the exit running next to our routes.
I
and
knew
of course
there was
continue.
something like that, and it's insane. Look where it comes out.
Yes, all the way. Yeah, only here by Radland it comes back onto the track.
There. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Insane, huh?
Can see
And
why
of
they got
course-
rid of that.
And of course, this track is also so long. In F1, you don't even have a cool down lap after the race. You go straight into the pit, wrong way in. It's like Le Mans. There's no cool down lap either. You also just go past and by the pit lane entry, you go the wrong way in. It's just too long to have cool down laps.
Can confirm for you the first penalty so far of the night.
Like,
Ronald will have
Ronald,
a
I was just
1
there.
grid place
Yeah.
penalty for a pit lane violation.
probably speeding in the pit.
Sure what that is, but it must be speed.
I'm going on the most common pit lane infringement, which is speeding. Tom Curtis. I assume
She's
this
got
might
some
be AI
some
drivers.
AI drivers.
Just to
Don't
make it
sound
interesting.
very South African.
On board with Staffy again.
Currently 13th.
Currently
Obviously, new. I'm not sure if he's new to the game. He may have had the game for quite some time, but he's
But never really
definitely
saw
new
him.
to spending some extra time on it. So
But nice to see he actually came out to actually be part of this, fill up a grid, and of
I
course gaining the experience.
he did mention earlier that 3 laps of Spa makes his arms tired already. So it'd be interesting how he'll feel after an hour and a half.
Somehow I can picture Staffy behind the wheel of his car in real life. It's just a Staffy type car.
Pedro Grave.
Oh, Ronald in pit, here we go. So he's slightly
That car
mad.
actually, it just reminds me a little bit of that Williams era.
Yes, I was just going to say
With the
white.
Martini Merc
Yes,
thing
yes,
going
yes.
on.
Exactly. I was also thinking Martini here. The first thing that you think of. And you see here in Ronald's car, just to remind everybody out there who's been questioning the poor guy, he's just reminding everybody he's just slightly mad, not completely. Back on board with
We'll watch
Judgy
the
now,
judge.
coming here through
in
the bus stop
7.
chicane. Giving it some here, starting on his next lap.
Let's have a look.
Couple of guys going for the
knew-
Porsche.
Favorite camera angle. It just looks fantastic up some
Nice
corners.
shot. You could actually appreciate Rouge and Radelen all the way.
This track, have you seen this track backwards?
Now
The
that's
sequence
something,
of corner
that's something
backwards
else.
is
Wow,
this sequence of corner backwards is scary.
insane! I can imagine a Rouge the other way around. Oh my word, it feels at full
That
speed.
acceleration downhill while winding
Yes.
through corners, I don't know, you just climbing is one thing, but
And-
seeing what you're heading to is very
And
different.
where, and then that you spot that breaking point, that is hard.
It's just one of those corners. I mean, it's one of those corners really, they just can't change it, otherwise Spa wouldn't be Spa.
I agree.
You know, it's sort of like taking the
So
corkscrew
famous.
out of Laguna Seca.
Exactly.
You can't. It's
That
probably
corkscrew
the
is
first
unique.
corner
It's
you think of
Exactly.
when
Think
you
about
say
it, you're
Laguna
right.
Seca.
If you say Laguna
So-
Seca corkscrew, you say Spa Francorchamps, Rouge comes to mind.
Yeah. And I mean, like,
Ooh, that looked, but whoa. Looking at somebody is like bunny hopping there.
it's like in Monza, the Parabolica, that final corner leading onto the pit straight. That they can't change that corner in any way. I mean, there was talk of actually adding a chicane just before the Parabolica in the 90s, and I'm so glad that was never a thing. Obviously, there was an alteration to this circuit in 1994, for obvious reasons at the time. But I'm glad they got rid of that by the time 1995 came around. That was obviously the year Ayrton Senna died, and they added a chicane before Eau Rouge, and it just felt like a very different sequence of corners.
Definitely. Of course, just a quick shout out there for just to remind all our viewers. Of course, feel free to post some comments there and be part of a chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, we are trying some different streaming methods tonight. Of course, Jonathan is doing with Twitch, and on my side we're streaming to the YouTube channel.
That's right. So we've got the stream up on 2 social media platforms, and just trying to extend the reach out there and see if there's anyone out there that enjoys what we do and possibly wants to be a part of it.
Of course, we're just a bunch of normal guys doing what most of us love, which is gaming.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steph.
That may come up later in the video.
Yeah, thank you, Steph, for reminding us of that stage classic. He pushed me off the track. No, Steph, get your behind in gear. You can do better than that. It's only 7 seconds.
Still on provisional pole.
But you have to remember, Steph, it's all about endurance, so it's an hour and a half. Oh, gas big. Oh, boy. Too much gas when he actually put it right straight into the wall. Luckily, not too much damage. Of course, it's all about endurance, so it's not about just the speed and outright just racing. Of course, you need to also survive, make sure that you finish the race.
And absolutely, and another thing to remember with endurance racing, obviously damage is going to make that car very difficult to drive, and It's going to lead to extra pit stops that involve repair.
Exactly.
And repair takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We could see cars that are literally laps apart by the end of this race. So
I mean, depending on the extent of your damage, you're looking at anything a minute, 2 minutes in the pit, and if you think about the fastest lap, 2 minute 20. Yeah, that's already a lap done just by stopping once. Of course, if it's not going your way, imagine how many times you can put in an endurance race for an hour and a half.
I actually did have a go. I did have a go at the endurance.
Muna going out again, yeah? Ooh,
wow, that looks interesting.
That being at better days at the Rio.
I would definitely not be happy if I walked out of the shopping center and saw the back of my car in that condition.
I won't be surprised if I see if a dog actually came to visit Wazi. Wink, wink. Judgy still out there, of course. This is a guy that actually got some nice space from where he used to be, because at one stage I actually enjoyed, driving socially, and you were always at the back with me, having fun. But the pace that the guy got, I must say, Judge actually moved in the right direction with this game.
No, definitely. Like we were talking about earlier,
only 2 minutes away from Gaff. That's actually awesome.
Like we were saying earlier, it's really funny to see. We've had
Steph, you fast to
players for. We've had a core of players for quite some time, and we've seen these players across various games. I mean, we've tried others, and it's always amazing to see a driver adapt to one game and just not adapt to another. This is something I personally can't play it. I've tried on multiple occasions. I just can't. It's infuriating. I can't. I mean, on GT Sport,
same boat.
I've finished endurance races, but on this game, I can't.
But still, we enjoy watching, and of course, that's why we're here commentating.
Give the guys something.
Like in this match.
If the guys are racing and they enjoy the commentary, and we've got nothing to do, then why not? This is something I enjoy. I enjoy promoting it and giving it a bit of a voice out there, and just letting people know what we do and who we are.
It's like somebody asked me, why would you spend that much money for a game that you just sit and talk about? I mean, some people enjoy different aspects of a game. I enjoy sitting here providing comms and watching the guys go all out. Oh, wow.
Oh, look at that.
Was that AI? Yeah.
Wow, not 100% sure what that was, but
there goes 9 to him as well.
I'm pretty sure there's some interesting expletives there. I'm actually just watching the.
I can
it's not
hear,
really a replay.
Just
my stream is a little bit delayed. So if I look over at my Twitch screen, I can basically see a replay of whatever just happened. So if I want to get a second glance,
it's almost like Verstappen, Raikkonen at this past weekend's F1 race.
That windscreen almost looks like the one I've got on my van.
I can only imagine what Fricky. Well, I can't imagine. I know for a fact what Fricky was saying there, but I won't repeat it on this stream.
I'm not going to repeat it.
No.
For
because this is family viewing. Right, boys. Just over 3 minutes
have a
left.
Look, we're following Ronald.
Hey, but Merck also had some battering with a few walls or cars, maybe even.
I'm going to call that the Martini, Merck.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't say Martini on it, but you should have chosen better colors.
You can't look.
If you wanted,
I can't look at it without thinking Martini.
But whatever brand that is, it's chosen very bad colors considering it's motorsport, and it's just going to be associated as Martini. I actually really do miss that livery on the Williams.
Yeah, that was one of a pretty, and of course the one livery that I will always remember.
Rothmans.
Oh yes, of course. There's no two ways about it.
Rothmans. However you feel about cigarettes or whatever the case is, or the brand, but the actual logo, I loved the logo. It had that gold ribbon.
Yes.
It just had a nice touch to it, and it
blue,
looked
the
really
white
good.
And the slight gold. At that time, Williams they actually had a nice livery. They were actually winning championships.
They basically kept the same livery from '94, I think, through to '97. It was a very similar livery, obviously.
Yeah, '96 of course was Hill champion. But, next year Villeneuve champion, same livery.
Obviously, I don't know if you remember the livery before that. Camel and Cannon.
Camel with a yellow, of course. Ricardo Patrese and Nigel Mansell.
Cannon printers on the back. It was, I actually, my favorite, well, my favorite is the Rothmans, but one of my favorites is the '93 livery. It was their final livery with Camel and
Ronald going slow.
Cannon.
Ronald stopping on track.
And just on the side of the car, just basically where the driver's knees would be. There was a little picture painted on the side of the car, and it was a Sega sponsorship, and it was Sonic's legs. It made the drivers look like they had short little Sonic legs. Really enjoyed that. It's similar to the. Do you remember the Jordan livery? They used to get really creative with.
I remember you talk about Jordan.
With the lizards on the front.
I was just about to say, of course, and the freaking teeth and stuff on the right of the end of the nose. Jordan really. They almost look like they almost make their cars look like those what some of those fighter pilots do with their planes.
Like I say, I don't know how you feel about cigarette branding, but you know, towards the end of that era when they had to start getting creative, there was some stuff that was just dumb, and there was some stuff where they really got creative.
Look, and because
I mean, do you know that Marlboro barcode actually got banned because they could prove that at a certain speed you could see Marlboro. Yeah, and that actually got banned. That's why it became just a white. And now obviously we're having a second go at that whole debate because tobacco has found alternative products and Formula One's not falling for it. Here's MotoGP. When the MotoGP game came out, it actually said Mission Winnow on the Ducatis. It doesn't say that anymore. It just says Ducati.
Yeah,
So let's just have a look
100
now.
and a half, if not more, of the
Obviously,
world's population is smoking.
Absolutely. I think that will be your qualifying
feeling
session.
Racy. Gappy really racy here at the end.
Maybe giving it a bit of a go, getting a taste of it before the race.
Here in Nismax is less than a second between the two of them. That's going to be close. It's also going to come down to who's making the least amount of errors.
Let's just have a look here. Still getting the hang of these controls. But there we go. There is your timing screen.
Yeah, his stuff is faster than an AI.
Let's just go through it with the session complete. Obviously Gavin coming up in first there, taking pole. Nismac second, he got really close, just 8/10 of a second.
Yes.
Muna not far behind, another 10th
also
behind
within
really.
a second, yes.
So top three really close within a second. Then we've got Wazzy in fourth, Judge fifth, Chen, again driver I'm not familiar with. Let's see what you're all about. Got Devon in seventh, Ronald eighth. We've got a couple of AI drivers in 9th, 10th and 11th.
And 12th.
12th. And then Staffy comes up in 13th and another AI driver in 14th. I'm not even going to try and read that surname. Nikita Zodorowski, I think. I don't know.
Okay, thanks for the heads up there, Nessie. Appreciate it. Hey, we got Yvette! Hello, Yvette! Long time. And now, don't feel sorry for the dog. He doesn't need your sympathy, trust me. Exactly, Nesmax. I just saw it. Of course, Yvette has been joining us often on the F1 broadcast. Of course, posting some comments there for us. Of course, partaking in the chat. Always nice to chat to you guys there watching. So again, just a reminder to you guys, feel free to share comments and join in the chat. Of course, now just everybody setting up the race setups and stuff. So just giving them a chance to get ready. Final adjustments before we go for this 1.5 hour battle.
And then remember, Ronald got that one grid place penalty very early on in the session.
But that's still, that takes him down to 8th place, so he's still there in the top 10. But of course, yeah, position doesn't matter if you don't play the long game. Because, of course...
It's really about, well, you have to keep your nose clean, number one. It's a lot easier than you think to get damage, and the damage affects the car
big time,
very, very, very negatively. So you got to remember also, Spa is a very long circuit. You're looking at a 7-kilometer circuit. So if that damage or that accident comes right in the beginning of your lap, you're going to have to do 7 kilometers with a very slow car, and then you're going to be faced with a pit stop that's going to take much longer than it should.
Exactly. And of course, one thing about this, and one thing to take note of is long tracks, and of course, Nürburgring, of course, Nordschleife is a good example. If you depending on the extent of damage, if you don't nurse that car home, you can actually blow your engine before you get to the pits.
I actually had the one and only time I've ever co-commentated with DW. It was actually on this game. And I think they were racing at some oval, and yeah, he was in the comm box with me in lap 3 because he blew his motor. So, it is a possibility in the game. It does happen.
Yeah, it's definitely more real when you really have to go out of your way if you want to blow an engine in F1. Yeah, it happens easy. So you just need to make sure to minimize the damage. I know it's not always easy to avoid damage. It's going to happen, but you need to try to minimize it.
Yeah, look, I mean, you know what?
Jy weet, self vir jou hoor. Finally. Don't worry, you weet, I gave it that. It's like one of those little lighties on Christmas Eve. You can't wait to open his present. If you're of course just saying
we're streaming this over 2 formats. Streaming this obviously over here on YouTube and streaming it on my own channel over on Twitch. Working on we'll start another Twitch channel, especially for this. It's going to be an interesting race for me. I commentate on what 90% of my commentary sessions have been F1, and the last time I did one of these was a good couple of months ago. So it's going to be something different. So you got to remember that the gaps you see on screen don't necessarily mean the same as in F1. A 25-second gap could really mean nothing if you need to pit, because you're not going to be in and out of the pits here in 25 seconds. See, Mercedes-Benz the other day broke the record for the longest pit stop in the hybrid era.
Of course, referring back to the German Grand Prix.
At the same Grand Prix, the record for the shortest pit stop ever was set.
Yeah, and of course, Mr. Verstappen, yes, Red Bull.
Verstappen, yeah.
Yes.
The previous holders of that record were actually Williams. So it just shows you, it doesn't matter where you are on that grid, if you're the top team, if you're the bottom team, all of those teams work around the clock, they practice.
So you see, Steph, you do have the answer on what you need to do, so now make sure you do it.
This is all about consistency. It's not about one lap pace. It's not about being the fastest man on the track.
That's it. Steph said it.
Get as little damage as possible, make as little pit stops as possible, and obviously if you drive conservatively, you're not going to waste as much fuel. So here the amount of time you spend in the pits can't be compared to
how many times have you heard you do not win the race in the first corner, but of course sure as hell you can lose it in the first corner.
I see Staffy's really making a habit of calling you dear.
Yeah, I know. I'm worried about Staff lately.
It's a good thing you live in the West Rand and he's stuck in Cape Town.
Thank goodness there's a good couple of 1,000 kilometers between us.
Otherwise you might just get some
doggy action.
Someone like ringing the bell.
Yeah, doggy action.
Some surprise visitors after the race.
Yeah, that looks better. Yeah. No, you wish. I'm no Bambi. I'm too big to be Bambi.
Oh, no.
Bambi is a little petite, little teeny weeny. That's more like Frick. Yeah, that's more Judge. Judge is a Bambi.
I wouldn't call him that. I know exactly what he'd call you if you called him that.
Yeah, exactly. His favorite word. Judge is just a very aggressive Bambi.
There we go. We've actually got some visuals there on our screen.
There we go.
Do we have a formation lap or do we go straight into the race? That's probably something I should have asked.
129. Looks like everybody's moving. But of course, I think this is probably going to be a running start. Of course, this is where the computer started for you. Next move is green light. Well, timer is counting down.
I see the clock is down at 1 minute 29, 20 seconds. No one's moved.
Yeah, already 40 seconds. I hope we don't have a glitch here.
Hope we don't have a live problem.
Okay, staff confirmed it's a standing start, no formation.
No formation.
But the clock has started to tick down, but nobody's moving. Surely it should only start once the light goes out. Hey. Anyone have?
Not
If
entirely
anyone
sure. We'll
have,
just sit and wait for any
yeah, no, I know about that one stuff. You must make sure it's ready up here. But now I say now everybody's standing still.
Yeah, I see everyone standing still on my screen. And the clock is already down to 1:28. So we've lost a minute and a half. No one's moved.
Of course, if you don't
Not
ready up by the
sure.
time, because it gives you a certain time to ready between practice and stuff.
They're in the
Okay,
ready up phase.
okay,
So
they're not
maybe
entirely one
just
analysis on racing.
doing final touch-ups.
Okay.
Just sit and be patient. It's as
There we go.
quiet as the
Looks like here
start
we go.
of a Formula
Okay.
E race. There we
Here
go.
we go. There we go. There's looks. Now we're happening. Here we go. Back to 1:30. Awesome. Right, and here we go. Should we go? Oh, Gafpig very slow away. Muna obviously have a perfect start, having to get out behind him. Muna, Gafpig.
There's contact.
Yeah,
Contact
there was always going to be.
one.
There was always going to be because Gafpig was not going to back out of that one.
Contact at turn 1. That means Gavin retains the lead for now. Wonder if he's going to have any damage. If he does have any damage, he's going to know about it straight away as he goes up here.
Huge collision at the back. It looks like TNB was is one of them. Yeah, only 4 cars coming through. Yo, massive.
Huge collision. We join it now.
That's the judge. The judge is also Ronald's got damage. Oh no, that's chaos. Oh, and still some guys fighting there. Oh,
and now Staffy
and Chen
getting
Chen
into
has got no
another.
rear wing. And it's right. And he got clipped.
And he got clipped. And that was an AI driver coming through.
Can't
really blame him. He was in the middle of the track.
AI is never going to back off.
Obviously now that will effectively break up your field.
No downforce, and it's a long way back to the pit because it was just a route. Oh, Judge has got
all
some
of these guys
damage.
will. We've got another collision on screen.
Staff. That looks like AI again with Staff. Oh, TNBYJ also no rear wing. But he was one of the early guys in that huge pile up there. Correct, he reached the calm before the storm, and what a storm it was coming to our route. Yo.
Let's just go back to your leader. Muna now leads the race, so he has managed to
jump the peak.
He has managed to get by. Gavin now in second. Your gap is 0.6 of a second. Seems like Gavin has a penalty of some sort.
I just wonder what's the extent of the damage they might have incurred there coming together there in that first corner.
Can't tell you what it is because my race feed is actually very small and the amount of incidents that happen in a very short period of time have just completely covered my screen, so I can't go that far back and see what Gavin did. But he does have a penalty. Basically everyone with a penalty, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers out on track with a penalty.
You can just
Max in third, keeping it clean for the time being.
Of course,
he's got some clean air ahead of him.
And of course he's got Devon there in range from him. Of course we're going to start seeing a couple of guys now having to come for the pit. Already 4 seconds between number 5 and 4, and the gap is growing. Ooh.
Join now, we just get in that pit entry.
Hot entry into that pit.
Watch Ronald. He's going to come in. Let's just watch the pit stop just so we can have an idea of how long this takes. I'm not quite sure what's happening here.
From one to the other and then it's not stopping.
He actually went through 2 pit crews there, and now he's stopped at a third, and he's...
Oh boy. Stopped at the wrong pit crew.
Yeah, this is not good.
This is going to cost him serious time.
Obviously, another thing about this game, if you're not used to it, I'd say most of these motorsport games I've played have something in common where you go into the pits and the car basically takes over.
Yes,
And
not
obviously
yet.
here
Not yet.
that is not the case. Once you cross that pit line, everything is still your responsibility. And yeah, you can actually crash into the pits or stop at the wrong garage, really. Not something you can do in the F1 game.
Muna now just under a second, so slowly but surely building a gap to get to the peak.
So I wonder if either of them have damage. Don't see anything visual on the cars, but there was definitely contact.
No, but they're getting away from Nismax. Gap now to Nismax is 4 seconds.
So that gap is getting a bit bigger. Nismax will obviously be able to close that gap if these two begin to fight.
Because of course, knowing these two drivers, no, they won't give an inch to each other. As I said, here comes gap peak already.
Muna will defend with everything he has, and Gavin's not the type of guy to accept second place. Exactly. He's going to go for it each time around. Now he's going around the outside of turn 1. He's going to give this a go.
Of course, with a wider entrance, he's got a good exit.
See if he can get this slipstream now. He's going to follow him up Radion.
This is one place you don't want to pass. You don't want to be here next to each sideways.
There we go. Now if he can just get some slipstream down the straight, but he's obviously not close enough. Not close enough for now. There we have Nismax still in third place. That gap you mentioned, 4.9 seconds. Briefly it was up to 5. There we go, 5. So
I see Steffi is now in the pits.
Gap is growing ever so.
Ooh, and Chen is in the pits and he's already 440. That's 2 laps.
Now we go down to 4th place. We haven't given this guy much coverage, doing a good job. 9 seconds off your leader, currently in 4th.
Reverse rate looks like it's soon going to be a lonely race for Nismax. 3 seconds between him and Devon and 5 seconds to the peak.
Just having a
Don't
look.
worry, Yvette, we miss you guys as well. We miss the fans. Just responding here to Yvette, because she says she's missing us on Friday nights. Of course, we miss guys as well, but some good news for you guys. The Friday night racing, F1 actually will be streamed again from next season.
From next season, I think we have 3 rounds left in the current season. Yeah, we have 3 rounds left in the current season, and then obviously we'll have probably a 2-week break in between seasons, and then round 3 will be broadcast on YouTube and streamed by Johan, I believe. Yeah,
I will do that. I will definitely be back in the commentary box. So Friday night racing will also be streamed again, and that will go to the old channel, the Turbos and Bullets channel, of course, on YouTube.
Obviously, something I really enjoyed the commentary on the TNB Friday nights. Did it for a while because I got hopeless with the game, and I was just like, you know what? No, I enjoy this actually. I enjoy it better.
And now you're one of the guys that also got some serious space. Who actually, wow! Now you're actually right there to the front. Okay, there we go.
Now, whenever I do commentary on any race, it's killing me not to be in the car. So even when I did co-commentary on midweek racing the other day with Dirk, I wanted to be in the car.
So luckily I don't get that. I'm happy to be in the booth talking to everybody out there, and of course always happy if they talk back by commenting there. Just to confirm that Gavin and Devon definitely showing penalties. And Muna in the meantime actually opened that gap up to over a second. Okay, slightly coming down again. Ooh, Jad's still going on with that damage. I'm surprised he didn't pit.
From what I understand in this game, and it's actually a problem that comes through in spectator mode, unfortunately, is like basically the visual damage that the cars get.
Looks a lot worse.
When they go into the pits, a lot of it gets fixed. But from our point of view, we will still see it.
Okay, so
And sometimes we see a car that is really twisted, and the driver will hear us talking and think, "What are you guys talking about? It's not that bad."
Yes.
There's a few dings and scratches, but yeah, this one, that bumper's definitely not helping any aerodynamic plans that team had. That's
no, but even if you look at it, the car coming up behind him is not making real inroads on him, which confirms what you just said. It actually looks a lot worse on spectator mode than what it really is.
I think you'll probably find that he was part of that collision on lap 1. He's come into the pits since then, and the car probably looks a lot worse than it is, but he's probably got his performance back, which is why he's opening that gap up and making his way up to Staff. It's a big gap, 56 seconds, so
almost
got a lot of work to do if he's gonna get his way up the grid here. We've got Staffy in 12th,
I agree
4
with
seconds
you,
away
Yvette.
from Ronald in 11th.
We definitely need it, Yvette, because we need to do something about that. So yes, like I said, confirming we will definitely be streaming again on Friday nights. Sorry about that, Johnny. I just wanted to respond to Yvette.
I see the comments there as well. Yeah. No, I will. We will definitely be doing that from next season.
And we'll be open. I mean, if a driver maybe have a short race or whatever, like you said earlier with UNDW one night, more than really happy for these guys to come join us and give us input as well.
We should
mix it up.
If I have a retirement, I'll probably hop in the comms box and
definitely.
Now there's actually so many of us that have comms experience in some way. I mean, Dirk and Ati are doing that every Tuesday now. Yourself and Devet have also commentated, as well as myself. There's a few of us that don't mind getting on the stream and quite enjoy it. So there's Staffy in 12th. Let's have a look at your leaders.
You don't need to apologize to the dog, I promise. He's used to everything by now. He's probably the hardest bastard on the track at the moment. Oh, and I see now Nisma's also showing a penalty, and Muna, so all 4 are basically highlighted in red now.
So your top 4 all have penalties.
Penalties, correct. Oh, and that gap between Muna and Gafpik actually came down again. So these two really going at each other.
5/10 of a second. 5/10 of a second in between your leaders. Looks like still an hour, just under an hour, 20 minutes remaining. This race is still very young, long time to go. And
careful a little deeper approach into the bus stop. But I think, well, that's my view. Nismax is just happy to keep it where he is now, stay adrift from these two, with the hope, of course, that these two might make contact, and yeah, it's all over for them. And of course, you also don't know if he's doing the longer runs, saving tires, saving fuel, also minimizing the stop time. Like you said earlier, the more stops obviously is going to cost you.
Another thing to remember about this game, that if you're watching at home, if you're watching this at home, you probably wouldn't know, is that obviously in the F1 game, if you want to have a sip of your drink, you can really just pause it, and the computer will take over. It will just drive extremely slowly, but it will take over. In this game, that is not an option.
No.
If you try to pause at any stage, the car will simply drive off in a straight line, and that will be the end of that. So
it's a lot.
So it's something that requires all of your attention.
Yes.
Literally every single meter you drive.
On the back of Muna now.
There we go. We're still riding with this battle.
Looking of a lot of ways now. He's trying hard here to spot that gap. Trying to come in the inside. No, not enough.
See, he wants to get past, but he does not want to damage his car. You can see even some of our more aggressive drivers when getting to this format, you can just see they're holding back a little bit because they trust me, if there was no damage in this lobby,
different story.
This would be all over. Still going at it.
But one thing I must also give to Gav Peak, he also matured a lot as a racing driver, well, some racing driver. Because keep in mind, people, this is still gaming, it's not real life racing.
100%. Here we go. He's still right on the gearbox. Just can't. I think
this time he's
waiting for the mistake.
Ooh. And Muna gave him half a chance there, but different lines going in. Here we go. There's a bit of a chance. Maybe he just got out of a slipstream a little bit too quick.
It's gone defensive, gone to the inside. He'll defend that line.
He should have stayed in the slipstream a little bit longer.
Gavin really just needs to stay right where he is, stay on the gearbox of that car, make sure he's doing his racing line correctly, he's getting his braking points correctly, and really just wait for that car in front of you to.
Oh, here we go. Coming alongside him. Coming alongside Muna. Oh no, they couldn't make it.
Just
not enough
tucking in behind that car for now. He's going to go for it again. He's going to have the outside line.
Nope,
and
not enough.
No, decides against it.
And Muna's positioning that post just perfectly.
Just can't get around. Must be so frustrating in the car right now. Sure, he wants to get by, but I wonder if he does get by, will he pull away? Is he quicker? Or can he just not get past?
I just want to add that, because if you think about it, this position, if he finds himself in now, he's actually, in my view, he's the one with the advantage. It's always easy to say, yeah, you're in front. Of course, one difference about keeping the position, which Muna's been doing pretty well, but of course I still believe a guy behind in this position actually have the advantage. Because he actually can spot the guy in front's lines and he can adapt to something different from there. He actually can spot the area and try to capitalize. The guy in front must always be in his mirrors, and of course looking at your mirrors the whole time actually will also force you to make mistakes, because your concentration is not fully in front.
Actually, I've seen in MotoGP on multiple occasions where you'll see Marc Marquez is the fastest man on the circuit, and he'll get to second place and he'll sort of sit there, and you're like, okay, he's taking this really easy. He could have passed this guy a while ago.
Exactly.
And he'll just sit there, and after about 12 or 13 laps, he'll just go up the inside of one of the corners and completely pass, and it's like, and he's been watching that guy through that corner for the past 15 laps. He knows he runs wide there occasionally, and he was just waiting for it. And you actually just study that car in front of you, and eventually they'll make a mistake.
It's like Muna
if your pressure is constant enough, the mistake will come.
It's like Gavin had a perfect opportunity, but through the exit of a bus stop chicane, he actually went a little bit wide, when Muna kept the line on the inside. So if Gav just keep on the back of that Porsche, and Muna do something like that again, he will have a perfect choice.
Let's go down to third place, 11 seconds adrift of that battle at the front. It's Nismak still holding firm in third. No risk behind him for the time being. Devon a further 20 seconds adrift. So closest battle we've got right now would be for first place. There's 0.6 of a second in it. They're still going at it after, is it 18 minutes into the race? Have a look. Let's just have a look at fuel levels.
Only the top four so far that shows penalties.
Let's just have a look at your fuel levels. Your leader, Muna, he's currently running with 43 litres. Let's see what Gavin is doing. Gavin 40. So Gavin got a little bit less fuel. Obviously, depending on how you drive that motor is obviously going to affect your fuel consumption, and in the long 1.5 hour endurance race, it could actually come down to an extra pit stop because of the way you drive. So obviously these two don't have any damage. The way they're going at it,
No, I don't
throwing it around the corners, giving it everything. I think it was really a soft side impact. There was no
real damage.
But on this game, you really don't want to hit the front end.
Nope. Or lose your rear wing. Oh, no, yeah, Gaffney goes again. I wonder, it's almost like he swerves out for the apex of a chicane. Much wider on the exit. And that's actually cost him time when he comes down the home straight.
So look now. Just he's not really close enough. He's there, but he's not close enough for if that leader makes a swift mistake, he can't capitalize on it. He's not
correct. Not close enough.
Right there, you know what I mean? Like Muna actually made a clear mistake in the bus stop about 2 laps ago, and Gavin wasn't able to fully capitalize. Maybe he's just really keeping his nose clean, and just he does not want the damage. He wants to get by Muna making a real mistake. It's while this gap at the front is bigger than we've seen it in a while, so let's just take the opportunity to see who else is in this race outside of the top 4. Obviously 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th.
9th is
all AI drivers. Then in 10th place, next human driver, that's TNB Wazzy.
Of course, also a victim of that first pile up just around the first corner. Because he was one of the first cars that you could see going.
In that altercation, and it's compromised his race, but very long way to go. Very different racing than what we're used to, and this isn't over yet. It's all about strategies, and if you can come up with something clever, he could find himself back at the front.
That's it.
Obviously, those two at the front, they are battling, and any sort of damage that involved a unplanned pit stop would obviously throw them amongst the midfield. So anything can happen. It just takes that one error, that loss of concentration.
Of course, so far we've got 2 lap cars, Chen and Steffi.
That's right, just
no, sorry, not Steffi. Chen and the judge. Steffi is pretty much going to be the next car to be lapped.
Yeah, that's right. Let's have a look at the judge. That car
the angle we had just now doesn't show real damage. Yeah, it looks like one mixed up crazy Porsche.
I think it's really from. Okay, there you can still see it.
I can assure you one thing though, if this damage was for real, you wouldn't have doing the speed that he was doing, and he would have put it a long time ago already.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. He would have. I think he's pitted and basically.
Of course, Gav Pick has got the highest penalty there.
I'm sure there's damage on the car, but it's not what we're seeing.
I see Gav Pick's got a 3-second penalty versus the one of Muna. So that's also going to make a difference.
Now let's go back to your leaders. Actually, we join the Muna as he's coming up to lap A car. Is that Staffy? I think it is Staffy.
Okay, I don't know what just happened, or if you press any button, all of a sudden my list of drivers disappeared.
Let's see what I've done.
There we go, it's back. Thank you.
There we go.
And Muna flashing lights. Just warning Staffy there that he's coming to pass him soon. Leave it to Muna just to give Staff that friendly reminder. Oh, Gavpig now senses his chance. Do I spot rain? Yes, there's rain. There's rain.
I think I just saw rain.
Rain. Oh, this is going to spice things up. Oh, this is going to change it.
As far as I know, this race will go into the night and then basically end in the day again. So we could have a night rain session.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. And of course, how many times did we see with F1? How often does it rain here?
Oh yes, definitely. And well, we know that in real life, this is one of the worst places that it could rain, because how many times have we seen that there's a sector that's dry?
Yes.
Because literally the track is so long that you could have one or two corners on the one side of the track that they're just completely dry, that it didn't rain there. And if you're on a set of inters and you've got one sector that's just overheating your tires, it's ridiculous.
Trying again. Got his nose a little bit in front, but Muna's got the better line. Muna's sticking to his line.
Hold his line constantly. He's just constantly holding on to his line, not making a mistake. Gav's there to catch the mistake.
Yeah, that's the closest he's been, but he couldn't capitalize.
He's there to catch the mistake, but the mistake's not coming. I see Muna using I think me and Muna need to have a little chat, actually. He's using an interesting number. Wonder if he's converted to the LH44 fan club. Let's hope not.
I think that's just the luck of a draw, if I'm not mistaken. You can't really change numbers here, but I stand corrected.
That right?
Oh, Gavpig not really sensing his move, making a bit of contact there, but Muna again keeping his line. Telling the pig to bugger off. There's no way through here. Not now.
Trying to ruffle the Muna's feathers. Not working this time. He keeps his calm.
So far, Muna's
and
keeping his calm. Runs a little bit wide, but nothing serious.
Something that's obviously also new to me in this game is I don't know how long it will take until the track is
completely wet.
As in time to change tires. Different conditions.
And I can assure you, I can assure you, this is not just cosmetic and part of a show. In this game, if rain comes down, it comes down. It's like real life. It affects the handling of a car.
Obviously, in Formula 1, also more difficult to drive in the rain and slower. But you'll drive over the wet track, and you'll literally see standing water. But that standing water, it doesn't really affect the car. Whereas in this, it does. It very much affects the car. You don't want to go over standing water here. So it's going to be interesting if you start to get parts of the track that are wetter than others, and these tires start dropping off. There you go. Now they're coming up to lap another car. That's Ronald.
Ronald Johnny's Martini Merc.
Which he had a very good looking car at the beginning of the race, and then he decided to go to the same surgeon as the judge.
I think the judge, Tin Biwazi and Ronald, they all had the same surgeon.
There's Max now, that gap 17.1 seconds.
He lost some serious time there. Not sure if he's not happy with the car or if he's just happy to go long.
Obviously now we've seen multiple times that even you can have a guy who's extremely quick in the dry and just never practices his wet conditions. So we don't know who's quick in the wet, who's quick in the dry.
We'll have to wait for the track to completely wet out so you can see.
These gaps could change very quickly.
Nismax looks also like there's a bit of damage on his car. That can explain also why he lost some time. Gavpig now 2 seconds, 3 seconds almost off Muna. So obviously there was also some mistake, and I'm not sure if changing conditions had something to do with that.
This is now a very bad time to get damage, if you ask me. If you were to get damage now, and the car was pretty much undrivable, and you had to come in, what would you do? Is it ready? Is the track ready? Is it not? And it's such a long track that there's a very good chance that if it's not ready, you can repair your car, go out and probably do a lap before it's time to get on wets. So
Explain why
now
this
20
makes them doing
seconds, so
easy.
that gap is extending, and it's extending pretty quickly. Gap at the front also bigger than we've seen it for most of the race now, 2.6 seconds. So wonder if Gavin got any damage, or maybe just, like I said earlier, didn't practice in the rain. Obviously Muna's still at the front, that gap 2.3 seconds. Going down to 4th now, we've got an AI, 5th, 6th, 7th. And 8th. Got to go down to 9th to find your next human control driver, that's Devon. He's right on the back of that AI, looking to get into 8th place. So you don't want to get damage in this very already overcomplicated part of the race. Don't want to add anything to the drama.
Don't want.
Let's have a look down in 10th place. TNB Wazzy still going strong. Like we mentioned earlier, part of the incident on lap 1.
Staffing on the pits
Actually,
and Ronald.
an incident reminiscent of...
Now you can see the water. Now, yeah, on board with watching. Now you can really see how wet it is.
Riding on board with Wazzy, so much spray coming off the tyres. Conditions look very difficult. Let's do this. Let's ride in the cockpit with him, see what he sees. The car looks a bit slippery.
Sure, you can see, because here you normally would go flat out.
Obviously the trees now reflecting off the tar surface. You know that's never a good sign.
No, this is wetter than wet. There's no way you can stay out with this. No way.
Let's just do this. Let's put his speedo up on track so we can see. Yeah, he's definitely going. He's taking it easy for this part of the circuit. He's got to come into the pits now, surely. No. Chooses not to come into the pits. He's gonna stay out for now. Don't know. He knows better than me.
Unless he pitted and we missed that.
Let's have a look. Your leader at the front. What have I done?
Ooh, and he also is feeling it.
There we go. Leader at the front is still the Muna. Now we watch him as he comes around the bus stop. Will he come into the pits?
Yeah, he's coming.
Yes, he does. He's coming into the pits. Does that mean Gavin will react? I'm sure. Not having the best
looking at the mirror there. Here comes Gav here.
Gavin coming into the pits right behind him.
Looking at Muna's mirror, you could actually see him coming. I assume only Nismax will also.
I'm sure the top 3 will all react. It's right on the bumper cam. Into the bus stop chicane.
Oh, it's shiny.
Ooh.
Shiny. Here we go. Let's mix this in.
So your top 3 all in the pits. Let's have a look. Well, that's not very helpful. There we go. So both of your leaders in the pits. Nismax as well. Let's see what sort of time they spend in here. It seems like they do all the repairs and then only change the tires.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Front tires and then back tires. This does take a while.
Not like F1 where 2 seconds everything is gone. Done. Finish.
So got like 3 guys on a wheel.
Gav actually jumped Muna with a stop.
Yeah, we joined Gav as he's on the pit exit there.
He actually got he got the lead with that pit stop. Just now see once everybody's out on track and of course going through all the sectors, we'll get a true confirmation of the gap between them, but at the moment it shows 15 seconds.
I know everything, unfortunately, just when they come out of the pits you can't make too much of the timing screens. Excuse the same car being on screen for so long, I somehow misplaced my controller. There we go.
Old age, Jonathan, old age.
I wouldn't call it that. I know exactly what it is. I'm just not going to mention it on the stream. But
Muna actually is gaining on the outlap. He's actually going faster.
there's Max still in third place. That gap 24 seconds from the leader. Then you've got Muna second place, 14 seconds from the leader. 25 seconds within that top three. Let's have a look at Devon, still in fourth. It's a really good looking car. And he doesn't have damage on it. I think that's why I like
it. Looks quite good.
Yeah, good job at this point in the race. Maybe he's playing the long game, playing the strategy game, keeping that nose clean and staying out of trouble. It could be whoever makes the least amount of pit stops wins this race.
Definitely.
But let's have a look down the order. Wazzy now in the pits. So they're just putting on those rear tyres. He should be on his way shortly. And there we go. He's back on the road. There's Ronald. Quite an interesting shot as he jumps the curb there on the inside. Ronald now down the pit straight. It was a really good looking car.
Emphasis on was?
Was. Right now I'd be like, oh no, I'm not even buying that car. No, not like that.
Not like that, true.
Not like that. Seems we have a discon... Ooh. Am I reading that correctly? Judge disconnected?
Yep.
Not sure, but...
we definitely down to 11 drivers only.
That's another unfortunate part with the realism in this game. Obviously, the real element of not being able to pause the game for half a lap, and it adds to the simulation value and it adds to the realness, but if you leave this lobby at any time for even a second, it's over. There's no ghost car.
Okay.
You don't come back.
Just to check, I said, yeah, because there is Chinby Wazi. Is it the judge that we lost? Because I think we lost Chenway, definitely. Because we actually lost 3 drivers.
Let's just have a look at our list. Okay, so we've got Gavin, Muna, Niz, Max, Devon. Your top 4 remain the same. Then AI in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And then we have T&B Wazi in 10th and Ronald in 11th. So, yeah, we lost 2 drivers there.
Yeah, Chen and the judge.
So the one unfortunate thing, and actually something
yes, and the other one we lost
not particularly fond of in this game.
There's no more Staffy either.
We've lost Staffy as well, so we've lost 3 drivers in that.
Oh, I see Staffy had a mishap with a pit stop. Sorry about that, Steph. Whoa, it looks like Ronald is driving above the track. Yay, not even spray.
There we go.
Watch it, Martini Merc. Watch it, he's above the track, he's not even spraying.
Very nice.
Yay. No, Staffy had a mess up
with... Well, that's unfortunate now, we're down to 11 runners.
No, I think Staffy crashed out. Couldn't get onto wet tires.
Couldn't get onto wets. We saw something similar the other night, where I think it was on Tuesday night. It was in midweek racing. On the Twitch stream, I saw that one of the drivers, the pit crew refused to take the driver. Yeah, it was one of these situations. It was one of these situations, but it was the reverse. We had gone into wets and whatever the case is, and now the guy needed to put on a set of dry tires and drove into the pits, drove right past his pit crew. Looked like a... So he told me, and I said, well, maybe it's a drive-through penalty that you didn't serve. Make another one. He made another one, and on the second occasion, he didn't drive right through. When he got to his pit crew, he aggressively accelerated, and then showed up on the pit straight in neutral.
Oh.
Yeah. And that happened another 2 times, and driving right through also happened twice. So he tried 4 times
Yo.
and retired from the race. They just wouldn't take the car. So he was pretty much as popular as Pierre Gasly at Red Bull. They just totally sabotaged
It
the
looks
poor
like
guy.
Chen had an issue with coming into the pits. He didn't activate the pit limit at the right time and got disqualified.
Obviously, again, coming to the simulation value of this game, it has so many elements that are real that your concentration, you have to request the pit stop. You can't simply drive into the pits.
Correct. And it's all about self. You controlling the car as well. There's no AI involvement.
If we lost another one, we've lost another one.
Yep.
We have lost Wazzy, I believe. Yes.
No problem, Chin. Next week, next race is another try. Because I think, yeah, this rain caught out a lot of people. Yeah, that's
And
why
obviously
Team
just,
BY's also gone.
Don't get too down. It's round 1. Obviously, teething problems and these conditions.
I think it's a condition.
Like I said earlier about, when I commentate and I really want to be in the car, this does not apply over here. I have no interest in driving a car around Spa in these conditions.
Not in this, because now, it's like Steffi said,
especially
it
this
is
game.
bucketing down.
Especially this game, I have no interest in...
That's the important thing, Chen. If you don't enjoy this, if you're not having fun, then it's not worth being here. You must have fun. That's the number one rule.
The racing, the racing is awesome and it's fun, but it's really about the guys getting together that night of the week and just having a race, having a laugh, and don't let it get you down. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun, laugh. Well, Steph, there's a couple of guys.
That actually makes me quote Ryan Reynolds. You know Ryan Reynolds, right? One of his
who doesn't know Mr. Deadpool?
The younger crowd will know Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool,
Deadpool.
but I still refer to him as Van Wilder.
And, Mr. Blake Lively.
That's true. But he had a quote in the movie Van Wilder, which was it's pretty straightforward, really. But don't take life too seriously, because no one gets out alive.
True that.
So this is all about the fun. But yeah, very, very difficult conditions.
Why is he joined?
He has joined.
But
I think that will throw him into a spectator mode.
Yes, correct.
I think that should just throw him into a spectator mode. You can't take control of the car because there's no car to take control of. The car disappears off the circuit immediately.
That's one good thing about F1, the way the multiplayer in F1 works. If you disconnect and you can actually rejoin, you can take control of your car. You're back in the race.
I have a pretty reliable internet connection now, but when I got into online racing, that was not the case. And if it weren't for F1 being so forgiving, I don't think I would have finished 90% of my races. So, because I left multiple times on most of my races. Yeah, it was very unstable in the beginning. But, fiber. It's working. It's doing its job. There we go. Let's go back to the front. Gavin leads this race.
But Muna actually slowly but surely bringing that gap down.
He chased the Munna for lap after lap after lap in the first sequence of this race, kept that gap within a second, just wasn't able to make the pass. Munna basically holding his line, not making any mistakes, and on the one or two occasions where he did run wide or make a small mistake, Gavin just not close enough to capitalize on those occasions. But he was able to jump him in the pits, which suggests to me either Munna put in a lot more fuel, and there we go. That's just confirmation of that. Gavin running around on 37 liters of fuel Munna running around on 104 liters of fuel.
Yeah, he's
So
not playing
Gavin
the
is
longer
not going to go very far. I wonder if he made a mistake. I wonder if he didn't select... Oh wow, that's a lot of spray. I almost thought that was Kubica for a second. I haven't actually seen an F1 engine blow up like that in a very long time. That was a serious... Did you see that? That Kubica Mercedes... The Mercedes that gave up in qualifying? It was huge. It looked like an engine failure from the 90s.
I saw that. It actually was a huge pile of smoke.
I haven't seen a...
Because you don't see that dramatic engine failures
in the
anymore.
hybrid era, sometimes they just die. They just pull over and they just die. Okay, we've got a car in the air there. Almost called it a McLaren because it's orange.
That orangey look. This probably
Looks
MP,
like,
almost looks like a McLaren MP40 anyway.
Some really good looking liveries. Love this Renault though.
Here is information from Wikipedia.
I don't want any information from Wikipedia. Why is my phone talking to me when I'm not even... I didn't even have my phone in my hand.
Smart technology.
I think that just proves that the mic is always on and always listening. There's nothing really you can do.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys actually better at this than F1. If we're talking about
So
that for a whole
basically-
night, Steph, but unfortunately some guys actually they're a lot better in other racing games than in F1.
We've seen it in... you get the odd one out, like Munna, that you throw him in a car in any game. We were joking about it the other day.
Not
that
just a
he'd
car,
probably
you
kick
could
our
put him
ass
on a
at,
bike team as well.
he probably beat us at Mario Kart. So I mean, he jumped on MotoGP, and me and Devet had practiced that game. I think he got up to our pace and passed us within 2 or 3 days.
Ooh,
So-
Ronald running wide.
It's really that we'll continue to call it the Martini Merc. And it doesn't say Martini. Continues to get battered around.
And the gap to the front actually open up again.
13 seconds at the front. So Gavin able to extend that lead. That lead was coming down. Went from 14 seconds to 10. It's back at 10.
Sure. Okay.
So
Just when it goes, open up, when it close, open up, when it close.
I think any sort of mistake in these conditions can cost you a lot of time. Just to get the momentum going again and get the car going again.
Yep.
I think to lose 2 or 3 seconds just from running wide, I don't think that's impossible at all. Stuff, you're asking if it's going to go dark. I believe it is going to go dark.
Well, it
And,
already looks a bit darker than what it used to be.
as far as I know, it will go into full night settings, and by the time we finish the race, the sun will be up again. That's how I understood Ms. Max.
But there's only like 43 minutes left. Speaking of
43
Nesmax,
minutes, that's right. So we're basically at half race distance.
Nesmax was still in third position, but now some distance between him and Muna in second position.
42 seconds. I'm going to refer back to that fuel in Gavin's car. He really doesn't have a lot of fuel. So he's definitely going to have to pit. And if he puts in a lot of fuel, that will just allow Nismax up into second. So we see, this is something we wouldn't be worried about in F1. You're worried about the leader going into the pits. The guy in third is 43 seconds behind. You're fine. In this game, you're totally not fine.
Nope.
43 seconds, he's going to pass you. Even over a minute. Spent over a minute in the pits on this game, which is why I don't play this game. Devin's still in fourth. He's really kept it clean, kept his distance. Don't know if he, I think he obviously got away with that lap 1 incident. He wasn't part of that. And I think the only one that was involved in that lap 1 incident that's still in the race is Ronald. Obviously everyone else having issues.
Good.
Not sure what happened to the judge. We haven't heard any word from him. Although I haven't looked at the group.
No, I haven't memes yet.
Got way too many things going on in my lounge right now. I can see the YouTube stream, I can see the Twitch stream, and now I'm trying to go onto the WhatsApp, and now my brain's just fried. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, it's too much. Okay, yeah, I just had a look at the group, don't see anything here. So, unclear what happened to the judge, but sure we'll hear from him.
I'm sure you will.
There we go, Staffy asking the question. So that gap at the front continues to come down ever so slightly, just dipping now into the 8.8 seconds the gap. So Munna is making up some ground on Gavbig. Still leading this race, took advantage of putting in a lot less fuel at the pit stop and jumped his opponent. I wonder if he thought, I'm quicker, I just can't get by. So let me put in a lot of less fuel and, you know, it's sort of like a really long-term undercut.
But the thing is, it's not like he's building a huge gap.
No, he's not. He's actually that gap. It's hovering, and
Yes.
every now and then it comes down, and it comes down more than it goes up. So we've seen it come down from what 14 seconds. So he's taken 6 seconds out of this gap.
Sure.
And if it's on very low fuel, then it's really not working in his advantage at this stage. There's confirmation there that the judge left the session because of a network error. It was unfortunate. I actually saw his name appear on the screen saying disconnected,
Disconnected.
and joined was literally a few seconds later. But obviously not being able to get back in the game. 38 minutes remaining. So soon we'll be in our last half an hour of the race. Top 4 have been the same for predominantly the entire race. Gavin still leads from Munna, from Nizmax, Devon in 4th. Ronald, the other human control driver, in 10th. Have a look now. That gap
Yeah,
8.8.
there we go.
There we go,
That
7
was
seconds.
it. Thanks for the confirmation, Steph.
Thank you, Steph.
Ooh.
Now Munna, this gap will surely go up. I think Munna's having a few issues, and
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Challenging the guy to come and lap him. Oh, yeah.
That's not what you
That's
want
not
to see,
something
but
exactly. That's not what you want to see.
I haven't seen too much of a difference there at the gap. He didn't seem to lose time.
No, luckily not for him.
He didn't lose any time. Your gap in the front, 7.5 seconds.
Of course, he will be smiling. He's in a better position because gap is dropping, plus he's got with extra fuel.
He won't know about the fuel at all. We've just, I actually found this option here on the screen to bring up the speedo, and that's why we're able to see how much fuel is in the car and the oil temperature and all of that. But obviously from Munna's perspective, he's not going to know. He probably thinks that Gavin put in a much more similar amount. Gavin now down to 20 litres of fuel, so let's see how far he takes this. The rain looks pretty set in, doesn't look like it's going to be lifting in any time soon. Can we call that his teammate? He's coming up to lap Renault. Let's hope there's no altercations. Let's have a look who is the driver of this Renault. And there it is.
I wonder if Muna's got a stream when he knows about it.
Place.
When Jonathan is secretly giving Muna some advice. Yeah, Steph.
If they're watching, but I doubt that. We have 3 viewers. So, but yeah, that could play into their hands quite nicely if you have the stream playing in the background and I'm telling you everyone's race strategy. There we go, Gavin. Also having a few issues there getting past that Renault. The AIs do not make it easy. He had to go off circuit the second time. We're also having a lot of issues. As Max is in the pits. I just noticed that now on our screen. It's quite a lengthy pit stop.
Yeah.
It's allowed Devon to get up into 3rd place. That gap at the front now, 5.1 seconds. So when there was the switch, when there was the jump in the pit lane, when they came out of the pits, the gap was 14 seconds, and now it's 5. So I'd say Muna's in a better position here. Or Gavin just really not enjoying this rain. One of the two.
If Muna stay out here and he actually used that longer stop to its advantage, of course, that longer stop meaning he can stay out so much longer before he has to stop again. So it actually has his chance to capitalize and make it happen, because if he's still gaining speed and he's got that advantage, I don't think Gappy's going to see him again.
Muna now coming up to a lap car, tries to pass him into turn 1 and closes the door. And goes side by side up Eau Rouge. I wouldn't do that with one of these.
Especially not in the wet.
He's gotten past him before he ascended the hill. So no harm done. Cap 5.7 seconds, so he did manage to lose 7/10 trying to get past that car. Devon finds himself in 3rd. And there's Max down to 5th. Still 5.3 seconds there between the leaders.
Up. 4 seconds, come Muna. You're soon going to see Gappy in his in front of him.
.4 seconds. That gap is coming down. Wonder if Gavin is looking at his timing screens. And they've just starting to feel the pressure. Another thing is when you see those timing screens come down, every little mistake seems to cost you even more time.
Gappy actually coming around now to happiness mix. Am I right? No, if you look at the time, that's definitely. Yep, he's past him.
Yeah, 2 minutes. So that shows you how long a pit stop in this game takes. Obviously, I've mentioned it before, so no spoilers. Obviously, Gavin's on a very light fuel load,
True
and
that.
so this next pit stop is probably going to be a very lengthy one, and who knows how close Nizmax is going to get to that Renault.
Dis waar other guys can utilize.
I think Muna has just played this perfectly, and obviously kept it clean since the start of the race, in the dry and in the rain. I don't know why I see stuff flying off his car. There we go. Camera films nothing for a second there. Devon currently on the podium.
Yep.
I think he'll
nice
will
if he can
lose
hold
that
it, eh?
spot to Nizmax. Unless we have any more issues. Top three look pretty set going into the last half an hour of the race. 1/3 of the race to go. Steffi saying that the AI aggression was apparently set to 0. So if that's what they're like on 0,
I don't want to see them on anything higher.
can you imagine 50%? Guys will just take you out the moment you try to lap them.
Too much.
Just have this train of cars behind a lap car for the duration of the race.
Pedro Grave.
Go with your leader, 3.5 seconds, the gap. I think we're going to see, Mino will be seeing that yellow car in front of him shortly. It's going to come into view.
Imagine what's going to happen if he can't win tonight.
Here we go. Right on board with the Mino. And you can see that Renault closed down a 14-second gap.
Yo.
Lap by lap, just edging away at it.
Make
And now he's probably going to have a bit of an issue here. Another lapped car. We've seen them be quite aggressive, and if you catch them at an unfortunate part of the racetrack, it can be quite difficult to get past.
agree.
Last time he was able to get past the lapped car before the incline, not this time round. So just hope he doesn't catch him at a inconvenient spot. Gap 3.3 seconds.
So get Whoa.
Both of these drivers. So you just broke up a little bit there. Wasn't able to hear you.
Just talking weer about the throttle sound.
Oh yes.
Riding on board, it sounds like Not flat out, of course. I don't think this is going to really go tonight as much. I mean, if you think about it, it's only like 27 seconds left. The majority of the race was
Yeah, I
already in
don't
the
know.
day.
When I spoke to Dirk earlier, I think that's what he said. Maybe I misunderstood him, but
Unless it change whatever. Of course, you got dynamic
It
weather
would-
on.
Tom would have to accelerate quite quickly. Maybe
the
this
octane.
final third, it will start to lighten up, and there will be like sort of a sunrise by the end of the race, but not fully lit, midday. So
Muna's
follow your
closing
leader.
in. It's going to
There's,
be. It's pretty much going to be what it was now. No, only difference is the cars are in reverse order basically, and it's raining. Now Muna could probably show Gav Pig how it's done. And Gappy
And
coming in, there we
Your
go.
leader is into the pits.
That's a few loads. And did
He's,
he hit for Barry a pit lane wall there, yeah?
Let's just have a look
Scraping of a pit
at Gavin's fuel situation. He comes into the pits with just the 6 liters of fuel, so he's probably gonna spend quite a lot of time in here. Wonder if he's gonna just put in a little amount again, or if he's going to fill this up as much as possible. Freed Munna and put him back into the lead of the race. A race that he led predominantly before the first stint.
Of course, for
Gavin's still sitting in the pits there. You can see that there on the timing screen. Let's have a look. Where is Devon? Man who spent most of the race in 4th. Was able to evade most of that action on turn 1. Lap 1, sorry. And finds himself in a strong position. Gavin's still in the pits there, as you can see. So Gavin are still quite a ways away. Gavin has been released from the pits. Let's have a look.
Yeah, there we go, on his way.
Back on the circuit. That gap to Munna, 44 seconds. So, 43-second gap, and then that will stabilize in the next sector or so. Devon 3rd, so he wasn't able to jump the pig. Nismac still in 5th, but see, what is this AI all about? Okay. There we go. Munna leads at the front by a really dominant margin, 43 seconds. Evan just needs to now keep it clean and wait for the rest of this race to play out. All he can do from his perspective is, keep it clean, keep the line, make as little mistakes as possible, and whatever you do, don't damage the car.
Okay, here comes that McLaren lookalike again.
That's right. Looks like the Renault coming up to lap the McLaren.
Getting White to give a position.
Don't think McLaren would be happier with that. Oh wow, that McLaren hovers.
And it looks like he's fancying the pig.
If you could hover, you could just put the dries on. What difference does it make? Have an AI in 4th. There's Max still in 5th. See a lot of fuel in the car. This is obviously planning now to go to the end. There'll be no more pit stops for him. I don't think anyone's got to pit again. I'm not.
Depending on the fuel show.
I haven't really spoken to the guys before the race, so I don't know. And then I'm not sure with this game, but are there driving modes? Like, does it affect the consumption?
I'm not sure if you got mapping like with F1, lean, medium, high.
In GT, I think what was that? GT Sport? I think GT Sport had.
GT Sport, yeah, definitely had it.
Yeah, because I remember it somewhere else other than F1.
Of course, for higher you rev before you actually gear up, also affects your petrol.
Yeah, definitely. The longer you stretch those gears. Okay, Staffy confirms fuel mix modes are in the game. So,
Okay, so it's
obviously
like
running
GT.
around in a powerful fuel mix is gonna deplete that figure a lot faster. Still 20 minutes remaining in this race. Do we get to 0 and then have one last lap? I think that's how it works. It doesn't get to 0 and you cross the finish line. I think you cross the finish line and then there's one more lap. I'm not 100% sure. Like I say, I haven't commentated on one of these games in a long time. I actually had to go and look for the disc. All my games are on digital.
Oh no, you set yourself.
And when I selected this, it said insert disc. I was like, what? Ooh, and off there for Gavin. Runs wide there, goes over the grass and just clips the wall. Not sure if you got any damage. Don't see anything for now.
Nope.
But we'll just watch that time and see if it extends. If it extends a lot over a short period of time, then yeah, probably got damage. There's Max still running around in 5th. But now on the tail of your 4th placed AI driver, so Nismax trying to regain his spot in that top 4 and then hopefully jump one of those drivers and find himself a podium. First he needs to get past this AI car over here. They can be unpredictable. So you want to pass them, but you want to do it with some distance. You're not quite sure.
Keep it as clean as possible.
And unfortunately, there's something like this, you know, it'll make you second guess yourself a little bit. And this whole time, you're just really losing time. But it's now lining him up. Not quite yet, but he gets real close. Don't get too many battles on track in an endurance race for position late in the later stages of the race, so make the most of it when we do get one. And Nismax is dropping back a little bit, not as close as he was. Probably shouldn't film this car so much. Could get me in trouble. This I just realized this car looks like something.
I just thought it when you said it.
Oh wow! I just realized this car looks like. Yeah, I know. People are getting in trouble on Twitter for that. Let's get rid of that. Back to the Renault.
Yeah, we don't want the wrong people to see this stream.
No.
Oh boy.
Just now we've got some very interesting followers after this race. They've all got the wrong idea. But so let's go back to the Renault. Gavin in second. He's closed that gap slightly, just 42 seconds.
Yeah, but only
so not
just over 17 seconds. So it's not coming down enough. Unless he's all good, and Muna of course still have to stop again. It just all depends on how they consume. Yo, looks like sprinkler systems every time you get this shot. Yo, look at that spray.
And it really doesn't seem to be laying off at all. It's
no, just continuing.
Pretty much got to this point and it's just leveled out, and I wonder if maybe we'll have a dry finish. That could make things interesting if we had a dry finish.
One last change before we
make that pit stop they weren't necessarily planning, and could just really mix things up. Because we know how pit
Correct.
stops mix things up in this
Yes.
game. They're quite lengthy events.
Devon, this makes still. Devon holding on to the podium.
Still holding on to that podium. Pretty good, pretty big gap down to 4th. And I don't want to call anything because I'm not 100% familiar on how these fuel loads work exactly, but I think everyone here has enough to finish. The next 15 minutes, I don't know.
No,
I should probably
I'm also
take these
not.
off the screen, but I won't call anything because
Can you just give us a shot of Nismix, please? We're in 4th place.
let's do that. There we go.
Yeah, correct. The AI is just like 4 seconds behind.
So another thing is we see these top 4 drivers do have penalties. Oh, that bumper doesn't look good. We have these top 4 drivers, they all have penalties. So we don't actually know what those penalties are, or if they're all the same, so they'll cancel each other out, or if some are greater than others. So they got those pretty early on in the race. Ronald has actually made up a position, he's in 9th. He's actually the only non-AI driver with no penalties.
Wow.
Obviously, he will get good points from this round. When coming up with the point structure, I think the guys decided to go on the same point structure as F1.
F1, yeah.
So your top 10 will
Yeah,
all
there
get points.
comes Steph. Steph he said exactly the same thing.
And points will not be awarded to AI cars. So effectively, that 9th place is a 5th.
Correct.
The interesting 44 there of the Munna. Like I said, we need to add some words.
You're just looking for a fight.
I'm just looking for a fight.
"40 seconds gap opened up a little bit again.
Over 13 minutes remaining in this race. So what's about 5 laps to go? Obviously, making Charles Leclerc's victory around this track even sweeter. He won it on lap 44. 44 lap race. It was his lucky number. Didn't work out for him that time. Oof.
What?
Conditions
Ooh.
really don't look good. Even the cameramen are a bit confused there. Just filming the trees. Have a look at our other driver down in 9th.
A lonely 9th, you would say.
The Martini Merc. Which we've decided to call it. choose your colors better.
Ah,
Base 1. Don't know what base 1 is, but I know that those are Martini colors. On a Merc. Very close to a Williams era. So not the best branding. Really love the livery on this car. And it's the car with no damage. You see this model of Renault, the RS01, used as an interceptor by French police. They call out for the car chasers. I wouldn't want to try and run away from this with a 1300 turbo. Not going to get far. That's your leader, out in front, all alone, 39 seconds in front. Could really, since it's been confirmed that there are the fuel modes, could probably just put everything in lean, turn everything down and just get to the end of the race on the fuel that he has. Got the fuel. Yeah, you can definitely finish the race with this fuel. In fact, I think he's got too much fuel.
rather saving, sorry.
Gavin, on the other hand, a little touch and go. Don't know. But he definitely went with the shorter stops. Putting in lots of fuel.
This is not what you want to do.
Now.
This is not what you want to do now.
I want to get on the grass that far when
In
it's
the
raining.
rain.
He managed to get back on the tarmac without losing too much. Gap still 39 seconds, so didn't lose anything in fact. All sorts of debris on the circuit. It's been an interesting race. And the most action happened an hour and 20 minutes ago.
I was just about to say. And, I mean, on your way to our route for the first time, bang, pile up. And since then, pretty much we settled in the positions.
You aware of where we head to next week, or that hasn't been decided yet?
And now I can give you that. Here, give me 1 second. Next race is actually also one of our favorite tracks. Red Boring.
You know, that will be an interesting one. And that'll be a lot of laps, because then you're looking at a much shorter track.
Correct.
Don't know the lap times in these cars, but in a Formula 1 car, it's a very big difference. I mean, Austria is just over a minute, really. And I'm sure we'll still see, if there's no alterations to the track, I'm sure we'll still see that track become the first track sub-minute. That would be insane. Can you imagine a 59-second pole position?
Yup.
Always within the realm of possibility. These cars sometimes find 2 seconds in the off-season. And they don't seem to be getting slower.
Nope.
Even with their 1.6 turbo hybrid engines. They're still going faster than the V8s were going
A couple of years ago.
So what they're able to extract from that small amount, it's amazing.
7 seconds.
Whereas the driver in second place would say, it's amazing. Gavin's still in second. He's done a great job.
Oh yes. It was just
Really has done a great job. It's been a long, long race. He was in a battle with Munna when when we were still in the dry, and I've got to say he could have got past a couple of times. I actually think he was holding back for the result in the long air at the end of the day. Really, I don't think, but I think he could have passed him a few times. We even saw him a few times go side by side and just tuck in again. He's thinking better of it.
But Moon played well, nicely stopped. Strategy just worked out perfect for him.
If things remain like this, I think he's going to be very happy with this. Third place. Quite a distance from the leader, but really doesn't matter on the points table.
Solid drive by Devon.
Still need to wait and see what these penalties are all about.
Plays out now.
Go, just put the timing screens up.
I think that if I look at the free earlier, very early, and one corner cutting. Track limits. Because of course some games, some settings is more strict on track limits than others. Yeah, definitely a lot
Leader
darker.
by 45 seconds, so that gap now starting to grow. Unless Gavin made a mistake, I doubt that Munna is pushing in this late stage of the race.
You don't have
More
to.
likely the car in second might have made an error. Maybe it was trying to get past that interestingly coloured AI car that we see just behind him.
So, as things are now, Ronald actually gets promoted to 5th place.
Yeah, that's right. He'll take home, what is it, 10 points?
No,
8
which
points.
is not. Just for holding on, sitting there, persevering, he's going to get points, which is awesome. Because that's all what endurance is all about, bring the car home. Much I like Devon's livery. The nice Audi colours and then a touch of green.
Very nice.
And of course blank paint.
You can actually see the Italian flag in there if you want to. Just in the wrong order.
Which of course is the next F1 race.
Must be annoying for Hungarian people. Because they're like, you look at those colours, you see Italy, but hello. Turn the Italian flag on its side and, yeah. Hungry.
There's Max still holding on to Fofi. Gave himself
Still
some
holding on
breathing
to
space.
fourth, hasn't been able to make up ground on third place. That bumper looks ridiculous. The whole
Flapping
headlight
like
is
I'm flapping around. Boom, boom,
the
boom,
whole
boom.
headlight is coming out with it. Oh, that's not good. That should just fly off.
Muna definitely pulling away now again.
47 seconds.
There we go.
Just right on board with Gavin to see if there's any issues. Seems to be fine.
Depending on how this works out, this should be the final lap.
I think what's happening here is Gavin's fuel is getting pretty low, and he's backing off because there's 2 minutes remaining, and I'm pretty sure there's a final lap when this clock hits 0. So
Which means you just finish what you're on. So technically speaking, if Gavin feature, you just need to finish his lap, his race is over. Of course, that's another thing. Even if you do the same setup, F1 versus project cars, they're all different.
Technically 9th on track, but he's technically your 5th place man.
Correct, Ronald.
Probably the only survivor from the lap 1 altercation.
Agree. It is, of course, in a couple of AI guys.
You can see the car is definitely a survivor. Panel beat is nightmare. It's not one straight panel on that car.
You're running wide there, but yeah, it's not F1. At least you can do it.
Lining up to take 8th place. If it goes up into 8th on track, he will remain in 5th technically, as far as our point scoring goes. I think that's probably as far as he'll get. Car in front of him is a good 11.5 seconds off the road.
Time officially have run out. Was that a slow moving car?
Gavin 54 seconds behind. Something not looking good here with Gavin, or is his race over? I think that's it.
Yeah, because now it's basically overtime. Yo, and the gap is just growing now, almost a minute.
Can look at those fuel loads, and I think Gavin just with the 4 liters of fuel, but he should be fine. Just when they get over the line and complete the race, just needs to get the car back.
Okay, last good of corners here. Now, of course, there's fast sweeping right hander into the bus stop chicane.
It's left and right.
And now it's running
And
actually
back
lighter.
onto the pit straight for the final time. Bit of flashing
Giving us a
lights.
weave. And a weave.
And there's your winner of season 1, round 1,
And Muna.
Thursday night racing.
Muna.
Let's go to second place. Gavin in a flurry of cars here. Actually, if there were some more laps, he would be lapping Nizmax, but no need. Can really just stay there. Car behind him also a lapped car. That car. Actually know someone who's left the session who would love to be driving that car. I'm gonna go look for that livery now. This Max 96. Have a look. How far is Gavin? Oof. tricky till the end. The rain
Yep.
came down relatively early and it just never went away really. I was actually hoping for a dry end to this race. There we go, second place to Gavin. Fantastic drive. Long race. Maybe got caught out on the fuel earlier on, but that'll come with a little bit more experience as we go into the season. Easy mistake to make. We're down to third.
Come on, we're almost there.
Devin now just wants to bring this car home. Third place, podium spot for him. Great first race of the season. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
That's a couple of battles.
Where is Nizmax? Going slowly. Everyone, I think some of them even going slow just to let that 15-second clock run down. There we go, a bunch of AR drivers appear in the pits, so yes, they have been classified. They're done with that.
Yeah, I was just about to say AI is
and there we go.
Pits. Yeah, we come. Everybody
and I'm suddenly looking at a garage. There we go.
A race confirmation.
So there's your race results.
Well done, winner.
Well done, winner.
Gavpeak and Devin, that is for podium guys, with Nismax bringing it back in, home in 4th. Of course, as discussed earlier, Ronald done in 8th, but of course he gets promoted to 5th. Yeah, well, thank you everybody for joining us, and of course for those of you who watched, thank you for the comments.
Now that we'll call it a night. Thanks to everyone who watched. Hope you enjoyed it.
It's the start of the season, of course. And, so next couple of weeks there will be more of this.
We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. See you then. Enjoy, guys.
Cheers. Bye bye.